The arena was bigger than anything Tay had ever seen. He stood with his team at the entrance, looking up at the massive dome that stretched into the purple sky. Thousands of aliens filled the seats, their voices creating a noise that made his ears hurt. Some had fur, some had scales, and some looked like they were made of metal. All of them were staring at the fighters below. Tay was 19 years old and the youngest member of the human team. He should not have been here at all. The original fifth fighter, a man named Hyan, had broken his leg during the trip to the Crithian home world. The team leader, Day, had chosen Tay to take his place. Day was 40 years old and had fought in the war when the Crithians first came to Earth. He knew how to survive. Next to Day stood Wu, who was always thinking 3 steps ahead. Then there was Yang, whose muscles were so big that his uniform barely fit. And finally, there was Hana, the only woman on the team who could move faster than anyone Tay had ever met. They were Earth's best fighters, sent to this tournament to bring honor to humanity and maybe reduce the heavy taxes the Crithians made them pay. The Crithians had conquered Earth 20 years ago. It had not been a long war. The aliens had technology that humans could not match. Now, Earth and its colonies had to send resources to the Empire every year. Food, metals, and people to work in their factories. Tay's sister Sue worked in the mines on Mars. She had volunteered to go so Tay could stay home and finish school. He thought about her every day. The crowd got louder. A platform floated down from the ceiling, carrying the royal family. Emperor Thrain sat on a throne made of crystal that seemed to glow with its own light. He was tall and beautiful in a way that made Tay uncomfortable. His skin looked like it had diamonds under it, and his eyes were pure silver. Next to him sat Princess Kara. She looked younger than her father, but had the same strange beauty. She wore a long dress that changed colors as she moved. A voice boomed across the arena, speaking in the common galactic language that all the conquered peoples had to learn. Welcome to the Decennial Games. Today, warriors from 50 worlds will compete for the glory of their people. One by one, the teams marched into the center of the arena. First came the Sorak, huge reptile creatures that walked on 2 legs and had teeth as long as Tay's hand. The crowd cheered. Then came the Vex, insect-like beings with 4 arms and eyes that saw in all directions. More cheers. The Mordax came next, wolf-like hunters with metal claws. The crowd loved them. Then it was humanity's turn. Tay led them forward, walking with his back straight and his head high. Tay tried to copy him, but his legs felt weak. As soon as the humans entered the light, the crowd began to laugh. They looked so small compared to the other fighters. They had no claws, no armor, no scales. Just skin and cloth uniforms. Look at them! Someone shouted in the common language. They are so tiny. Humans are weak, another voice called. They should send their machines instead. The laughter spread through the arena like fire. Tay felt his face get hot. His hands made fists at his sides. Next to him, Hana whispered, "Ignore them. Let our fighting speak for us." They stopped the team in front of the royal platform. All the fighters were supposed to bow to the Emperor. Tay bent forward with the others, staring at the ground. His heart was beating so fast he thought everyone could hear it. Then something strange happened. Princess Kara stood up suddenly. Her chair made a scraping sound that cut through the noise. The crowd went silent. Even Emperor Thrain looked surprised. Kara's silver eyes swept across all the fighters. She seemed to be looking for something. When her gaze reached the human team, she stopped. Her eyes went wide. She stared directly at Tay, and he felt like she was looking inside him, seeing every thought and memory he had ever had. The princess raised her arm and pointed at him. Her finger was steady, aimed right at his chest. "That one," she said. Her voice was clear and strong. The youngest human. He will be mine. Time seemed to stop. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Tay did not understand what was happening. Why was she pointing at him? What did "he will be mine" mean? Emperor Thrain slowly stood up. "Daughter, what are you doing?" "I invoke the right of claim," Kara said. She did not look at her father. She kept her eyes on Tay. "I choose this human as my champion." A wave of shocked voices filled the arena. Tay heard Day curse under his breath. Hannah grabbed his arm. "What does that mean?" Tay whispered. Wu answered, his voice tight with worry. "It is an ancient law. A royal can claim any warrior from any species to serve them. But nobody has used that law in hundreds of years. Why me?" Tay said. "Why would she choose me?" Before anyone could answer, guards in silver armor surrounded the human team. One of them, taller than the others, stepped forward. "The human called Tay will come with us. The rest of you will return to your quarters." "No." Yang moved forward, but Day grabbed him. "Stop," Day said. "Fighting now will only make things worse." Tay looked at his team leader. Day's face was hard, but his eyes showed fear. "Go with them, Tay. Be smart. Be careful. Remember everything we taught you." The guards formed a circle around Tay and led him away from his team. As he walked, he looked back once. He saw Day, Wu, Yang, and Hannah standing together, getting smaller as the distance grew. He saw the other alien fighters watching him with confusion and curiosity. And high above, he saw Princess Kara still standing, still watching him with those silver eyes that seemed to see everything. Tay did not know what would happen next. He did not know why the princess had chosen him. All he knew was that his life had just changed forever, and nothing would ever be the same again. The guards took Tay to a room deep inside the palace. The walls were made of smooth white stone that glowed softly. There was a table, 2 chairs, and nothing else. They told him to wait. He sat down and tried to calm his breathing. His hands were shaking. After what felt like hours, the door opened. Princess Kara walked in, alone. Up close, she was even more strange and beautiful. Her skin really did look like it had crystals under it, catching the light with every small movement. She was tall, maybe 2 meters, and moved with perfect grace. "You are afraid," she said. It was not a question. "Yes," Tay admitted. There was no point in lying. Kara sat in the other chair. "Good. Fear means you understand the danger. Let me explain what happens now." She folded her hands on the table. "I have claimed you as my champion using an old law. This means you must pass 3 trials to prove you are worthy. If you fail, you will return to your people in shame, and Earth will have to pay 3 times more in taxes as punishment for wasting the court's time." Tay's stomach dropped. 3 times more? But people are already starving. My sister works 16 hours a day in the mines just to earn enough credits for food. "I know," Kara said quietly. "That is why you must not fail. Why did you choose me?" Tay asked. "I am the youngest, the weakest. Day or Yang would have been better choices." Kara looked at him with those silver eyes. "I have a gift called soul sight. I can see the true nature of living beings. When I looked at you, I saw something I have never seen before. A fire inside you that burns brighter than stars. You do not know your own strength yet, but I do." Tay did not know what to say. Nobody had ever talked about him like that before. "The first trial begins tomorrow," Kara continued. "You will fight in single combat. Your opponent will be Vorax of the Sauric people. He has won 30 fights and killed 12 opponents. The court expects him to kill you in less than 5 minutes." Tay felt his mouth go dry. "How am I supposed to beat someone like that?" "By being human," Kara said. She stood up. "Get some rest. Food will be brought to you. She walked to the door, then paused. Tay, I did not choose you to watch you die. I chose you because I believe you can change everything. Do not prove me wrong. The next morning, Tay was taken to a smaller arena. The court members sat in special boxes, dressed in their finest clothes. Emperor Thrain sat in the center, looking bored. Tay was given light armor and a simple metal staff as his weapon. He had trained with staffs back on Earth, but never against anything like what he was about to face. Vorax entered from the opposite side. He was enormous, at least 3 meters tall, covered in thick scales and muscle. His teeth were exposed in what might have been a smile. He carried a massive blade that looked like it could cut a person in half. The crowd cheered for him. Begin. The judge shouted. Vorax charged immediately, surprisingly fast for his size. Tay barely dodged the first swing of that huge blade. The wind from it made his hair blow back. Vorax laughed, a deep rumbling sound. Little human, stand still so I can end this quickly. But Tay did not stand still. He moved constantly, staying just out of reach. He watched everything about Vorax, the way he moved, the way he breathed, where his weight shifted. And he noticed something important. Vorax favored his left leg. Every time he turned right, there was a tiny hesitation, a small moment where his balance was not perfect. Vorax swung again and again. Each time, Tay dodged. The crowd started to murmur. This was taking longer than they expected. Vorax was getting angry. His swings became wilder, using more strength but less control. Tay waited for his chance. When it came, he took it. Vorax lunged forward with a massive overhead strike. Tay stepped to the right, to Vorax's weak side. As the blade smashed into the ground, Tay swung his staff hard at the back of Vorax's left knee. He heard something crack. Vorax roared in pain and stumbled. Tay did not stop. He hit the same knee again, then rolled away before Vorax could grab him. The big warrior was limping now, his face twisted with rage and pain. The fight continued. Tay used his speed and his brain. He stayed mobile, hitting and running, never letting Vorax get a solid grip on him. When Vorax tried to corner him, Tay slid between his legs. When Vorax tried to grab him, Tay twisted away like water. Every few minutes, Tay landed another hit on that damaged knee. 40 minutes passed. Vorax was breathing hard, exhausted and hurt. Tay was tired too, but he kept moving. Finally, when Vorax swung too hard and lost his balance, Tay saw his opening. He dropped his staff, jumped onto Vorax's back, and wrapped his arms around the thick neck in a chokehold they had taught him. Vorax tried to throw him off, but his injured leg gave out. He fell to one knee, then to both. Tay held on, squeezing with all his strength. Vorax's movements got weaker. Finally, the big warrior tapped the ground 3 times. The signal of surrender. The judge called the match. Tay had won. The crowd was silent. Tay stood up, his whole body shaking from exhaustion. He looked up at the royal box. Princess Kara was smiling. Emperor Thrain was leaning forward, actually looking interested now. The court members were whispering to each other, shock clear on their alien faces. Tay had passed the first trial. The second trial came a week later. This time, there would be no fighting. Tay had to play a war game simulation against the best strategic mind in the Empire's military academy. Her name was Nira, a Vex with a brain that could process information faster than any computer. They sat across from each other in a command room. Between them was a holographic display showing a star system with planets, ships, and resources. The rules were simple. They each controlled a fleet. The goal was to destroy the enemy or capture their home base. Best of 3 games wins. Nira won the first game easily. She controlled territory, built up resources, and crushed Tay's fleet with overwhelming force. The second game went the same way. Tay tried different tactics, but Nira was always 3 steps ahead. But Tay was learning. He watched how Nira thought, the patterns she followed. She was logical, efficient, perfect. And that was her weakness. She expected everyone else to be logical too. In the third game, Tay did something crazy. He sent half his fleet on what looked like a suicide mission, crashing them into Nira's defensive line. It made no sense. It was a waste of resources. Nira was confused, but she destroyed those ships easily. While she was distracted, Tay sent his remaining ships on a long route around the star system. He took control of small asteroids she had ignored as worthless. When she finally realized what he was doing, it was too late. His ships appeared behind her main base, and he won through a back door she never expected anyone to use. The fourth game was even stranger. Tay kept retreating, giving up territory, looking like he was losing badly. But every retreat was a trap. Every abandoned position had a hidden mine or surprise waiting. Nira won eventually, but it took 3 times longer than she expected. The fifth and final game was the one everyone would remember. Tay played aggressively at first, then seemed to panic and make mistakes. One of his damaged ships was drifting toward the system's sun. Nira ignored it, focusing on the main battle. That was her mistake. At the perfect moment, when Nira's entire fleet was positioned just right, Tay activated the damaged ship's reactor overload. The ship exploded inside the sun, causing a massive solar flare. The wave of energy and radiation blinded all of Nira's sensors for 30 crucial seconds. In that brief darkness, Tay's hidden forces struck her command ship and destroyed it. Victory. The judges had to check the replay 3 times to make sure it was legal. It was barely. Tay had passed the second trial. He had beaten the unbeatable strategist, not by being smarter, but by being unpredictable. By being human. Princess Kara met him outside the command room. For the first time, she did not hide her emotions. She was smiling with real joy. 2 trials passed. 1 remains. But Tay, you must know that the third trial is the hardest. Many champions have died in it. I know, Tay said. But I cannot stop now. Too many people are counting on me. Kara nodded slowly. Then we have 1 month to prepare. Come, I will show you where you will train. As they walked through the palace corridors together, Tay wondered what the third trial would bring. He had fought with his body and fought with his mind. What was left? He would find out soon enough. The training room was huge, with equipment from dozens of different worlds. Tay spent his days running, climbing, fighting practice drones, and learning about the third trial. But he spent his evenings talking with Princess Kara. At first, their conversations were formal and careful. Kara would ask about Earth, and Tay would tell her about cities and oceans, about music and art. She seemed genuinely interested, which surprised him. Most Crithians treated humans like smart animals, not people worth listening to. One evening, they sat on a balcony overlooking the palace gardens. The sky was filled with 3 moons, each a different color. Kara asked him about his family. My parents died in the war, Tay said quietly. A Crithian ship bombed our city during the invasion. I was 12. My sister Sue raised me after that. She was only 16 herself. I am sorry, Kara said. She sounded like she meant it. It was a long time ago. Tay looked up at the moons. Sue worked 3 jobs to keep us alive. When the Empire started taking people for the work colonies, she volunteered to go to Mars so I could stay on Earth and finish school. She's the bravest person I know. And yet, you are the one here, fighting trials that could kill you. Tay smiled a little. She would be angry if she knew. She always said I take too many risks. He looked at Kara. Can I ask you something? Why did you really choose me? You said you saw something in me, but there must be more to it. Kara was quiet for a long moment. Then she stood and walked to the edge of the balcony. I told you, I have soul sight. What I did not tell you is what I have seen with it. She gripped the railing. I have looked at every important person in the Empire. The generals, the lords, the senators. Do you know what I saw? No. Emptiness. Satisfaction. They are comfortable. They have conquered so much that there is nothing left to challenge them. They have forgotten how to grow, how to change, how to be truly alive. She turned to face him. Then I looked at the vassal species, the conquered peoples, and I saw something different. I saw souls that were crushed but not broken, potential that was being wasted. And I realized that the Empire is dying, Tay, not from war or plague, but from stagnation. We are killing ourselves slowly by refusing to change. Tay stood up too. So you chose me to prove a point? To show the court that the lesser species are not so lesser? Yes, Kara said simply. But it is more than that now. These past weeks, talking with you, learning about humanity, I have realized something. You are not lesser. You are different. Your people have known war and peace, have destroyed and created, have failed and rebuilt yourselves over and over. That cycle of struggle and growth has made you adaptable in ways we have forgotten. She stepped closer to him. The Crithians conquered the galaxy because we were once like you. We were hungry, determined, willing to take risks. But we won, and in winning, we lost what made us great. Now we just maintain what we have. We do not dream anymore. That is a dangerous thing to say, Tay said quietly. If the wrong people heard you talk like this. I know. That is why I tell only you. Kara smiled sadly. You asked why I really chose you. The truth is, I saw in you the fire that my people have lost. And I hope that maybe if you succeeded, it would remind everyone, including us, of what we could be. Over the following weeks, their friendship deepened. Kara told Tay about growing up as a princess, always watched, always judged, never allowed to show weakness or doubt. Tay told her about his friend Bin, who had died fighting Crithian soldiers during the invasion, and how he still had nightmares about it. They discovered they both loved music, though their people's music was completely different. Kara could make crystals sing by touching them with her telekinetic powers. Tay taught her an old human song his mother used to sing. His voice was not great, but Kara listened like it was the most beautiful thing she had ever heard. One night, 3 days before the third trial, Kara came to find him in the training room. He was working late, practicing his climbing on the artificial cliff wall. She watched him for a while before speaking. Tay, stop. We need to talk. He dropped down from the wall. What is wrong? You look worried. I am worried. I have learned something about the third trial. She looked around to make sure they were alone. It is called the Labyrinth of Endings. It is a maze filled with traps and hunting machines. It was designed centuries ago to be nearly impossible. Nearly impossible is better than completely impossible, Tay said, trying to sound confident. You do not understand. 17 champions have attempted it over the years. 17 have died. The few who survived did so because the Emperor stopped the trial early to save their lives. She grabbed his shoulders. I have been asking questions. The court advisor, Lord Kesh, has been spending time with the technicians who maintain the labyrinth. I think he is planning to make it even more deadly. He sees you as a threat. A threat? I am just one human. You are a symbol. If you succeed, it will inspire other vassal species to believe they can be more than what we have made them. Lord Kesh and others like him want to keep the Empire exactly as it is. They will kill you to protect that. Tay felt cold despite the warm air. Can you stop the trial? Delay it? No, my father has already approved it. If I try to interfere, it will look like I have no faith in my own choice. It will shame both of us and hurt humanity even more." They stood there in silence. Finally, Tay spoke. "Then I will go through with it. I have to. You could die. I could. But if I quit now, I definitely fail. At least this way, there is a chance." He tried to smile. "Besides, humans are good at surviving impossible situations. It is kind of our specialty." Kara did not smile back. "I am breaking the law by doing this, but I cannot let you go in there with nothing." She reached into her robe and pulled out a small crystal, about the size of a fingernail. It glowed with soft blue light. "This contains some of my own telekinetic energy. It will only work once, for perhaps 10 seconds. But it might save your life. I cannot take this. If someone finds out, nobody will find out. Hide it well." She pressed the crystal into his palm. When their hands touched, something strange happened. Tay felt a warmth spread through him, and he saw Kara's eyes widen in surprise. For just a moment, it felt like they were connected, like they could feel what the other was feeling. They both pulled back, startled. "What was that?" Tay asked. "I do not know," Kara whispered. "That has never happened before." They looked at each other, and something passed between them that neither could name. It was not just friendship anymore. It was something deeper, something that crossed the gap between their species and their worlds. "Promise me you will survive," Kara said. "I promise to try my best." "That is not good enough. It is all I can offer." Kara reached out and took his hand again. This time, the feeling was gentler, like a warm current flowing between them. "Then try your absolute best, because I am not ready to lose you, Tay of Earth. I am not ready to lose the only person in this entire empire who sees me as more than just a princess." Tay squeezed her hand. "And I am not ready to lose the only Crithian who sees humans as more than just servants." They stood like that for a long time, holding hands under the lights of the training room, both knowing that in 3 days, everything would change. Either Tay would survive the labyrinth and prove that humans were worthy of respect, or he would die and become just another failure, another conquered person who reached too high and fell. But tonight, in this moment, they were just two people from different worlds who had found something precious and rare: understanding, trust, and maybe, just maybe, something even more. The third trial was coming. Tay would face it with courage, cunning, and a tiny crystal containing the power of the woman who believed in him when nobody else did. He would need all of it to survive what Lord Kesh had planned. The morning of the third trial arrived too quickly. Tay stood at the entrance to the labyrinth of endings, looking at the massive metal door that led inside. The arena was packed with spectators. Every important person in the Empire had come to watch. They expected a good show. They expected to see the human die. Princess Kara sat in the royal box next to her father. She looked calm, but Tay could see the tension in her shoulders. He touched a small crystal hidden in his pocket. It gave him some comfort, knowing she was with him in a way, even if he was about to enter that nightmare alone. Emperor Thrain stood up. His voice boomed across the arena through the speakers. "The third trial will now begin. The human Tay will enter the labyrinth of endings. If he reaches the exit before sunset, he will become the champion of Princess Kara and earn honor for his species. If he fails, he will die, and his people will bear the shame." The Emperor paused. "May fortune favor the worthy." The metal door groaned open. Beyond it was darkness. Tay took a deep breath and walked inside. The door slammed shut behind him. Emergency lights flickered on, showing a corridor made of gray metal. The walls were covered with strange symbols that glowed faintly. Tay could hear humming sounds, like machines waiting to wake up. He started moving forward carefully. He had studied everything he could find about the labyrinth. It was three-dimensional, with corridors going up and down as well as side to side. The walls could move and shift. There were energy barriers, crushing traps, and hunting drones that adapted to their prey's tactics. And somewhere in the center was supposed to be an exit portal that would take him outside. The first trap activated when he was 20 steps in. The floor beneath him suddenly tilted, trying to slide him into a pit filled with spikes. Tay grabbed the pipe on the wall and pulled himself to safety. The pit closed again, the floor returning to normal. "Welcome to the labyrinth," he kept going. Every few minutes, something tried to kill him. Walls that tried to crush him between them. Floors that became electrified. Ceiling panels that shot out blades. But Tay was quick and observant. He started to see patterns in how the traps worked. They relied on sensors and timing. If he moved at unexpected speeds or took unusual paths, he could avoid most of them. An hour passed. Then too, Tay's shirt was soaked with sweat. He had a few cuts and bruises, but nothing serious. He was making progress, working his way toward what he thought was the center of the maze. That is when he heard the sound. A high-pitched whine that made his teeth hurt. Hunting drones. 3 of them came around a corner, floating spheres covered in weapons. Their sensors locked onto him, and they opened fire. Tay ran. Plasma bolts burned the air where he had been standing. He dove through a doorway, and the drones followed. They were fast, but Tay was learning the maze's layout. He led them through tight corridors where their shots hit the walls instead of him. He found a section with maintenance equipment and grabbed a heavy wrench. When the first drone came close, he smashed it with the wrench as hard as he could. It sparked and crashed into a wall. The other 2 drones hesitated, recalculating. Tay used that moment to run again. He found a control panel and yanked out wires randomly. Part of the corridor's ceiling collapsed, blocking the path between him and the remaining drones. 3 hours in. Tay was exhausted and breathing hard. His shoulder hurt where a plasma bolt had grazed him. But he was still alive and still moving. He reached what looked like the center of the maze. There was a large open chamber with a glowing platform in the middle. The exit. It had to be. Tay walked toward it carefully, watching for traps. He was almost there when a hologram appeared in front of him. It showed Lord Kesh, the court advisor. His face wore a cruel smile. "Hello, human. If you are seeing this message, you have made it farther than I expected. Impressive. But your journey ends here." The hologram gestured around the chamber. "You see, there is no exit. I removed it. This trial was rigged from the beginning. You were never meant to survive." Tay felt his blood turn cold. The hologram continued. "Why, you ask? Because you are dangerous. Not because you are strong, but because you give hope to the vassal species. Hope that they might be equal to their Crithian masters. That cannot be allowed. The Empire must remain as it is, with each species in its proper place. So you will die here, and that hope will die with you. Goodbye, human." The hologram vanished. Immediately, alarm sounds filled the chamber. Red lights flashed. Tay heard the whine of more drones approaching from all directions. Dozens of them. He was surrounded. Up in the observation box. Kara stood up in horror. "Father, stop this. The trial has been sabotaged." But Emperor Thrain did not move. His face was carved from stone. "I know. You knew?" Kara could not believe it. "You allowed this?" Lord Kesh came to me with concerns. I agreed that the human needed to be tested to his absolute limit. If he is truly worthy, he will find a way to survive. There is no way to survive. He will die. Tears formed in Kara's eyes. Then he was not worthy, the Emperor said coldly. Kair, looked down at the screens, showing Tay surrounded by drones in the labyrinth. She wanted to scream, to run down there, to save him somehow. But she was trapped by protocol and law, forced to watch the person she cared about die in the chamber. Tay was making his choice. He could try to fight dozens of drones and die quickly. Or he could try something crazy, something very human. He ran to the nearest wall and started looking for what he needed. The drones were getting closer. He could see their lights in the corridors. 30 seconds until they reached him. He found what he was looking for, a maintenance access panel. He ripped it off. 20 seconds. Behind the panel was the labyrinth's control system, a mess of wires and circuits. Tay did not understand Crithian technology, but all technology had some things in common. Power, data, processing. 10 seconds. The drones entered the chamber from 4 different directions. Tay pulled out Kara's crystal. "I am sorry," he whispered to it. "I know you wanted me to use this to escape, but I have a different idea." He pressed the crystal against his forehead and focused. The telekinetic energy flowed into him, and for a brief moment, he could feel what Kara must feel all the time. He could sense the shape of the world around him, the patterns of energy and matter. 5 seconds. He thrust his hand into the control system, and using the telekinetic power, he reached deep into the circuits. He did not try to shut the system down. Instead, he did something the Crithian designers never expected. He fed it human computer code, the simple programming language Tay had learned in school on Earth. The language was so basic, so primitive, that the advanced Crithian security did not recognize it as a threat. The control system tried to process the foreign code. It got confused. And in that confusion, Tay gave it a new instruction, using the patterns of energy he could sense. He told the hunting drones to identify each other as targets. The drones opened fire on each other. Chaos erupted in the chamber. Drones shot drones. Explosions lit up the space. Tay ducked behind a pillar as plasma bolts flew everywhere. The crystal's power faded from him, leaving him exhausted, but it had been enough. When the shooting stopped, the chamber was filled with destroyed drones and smoke. Tay stood up shakily. He looked around. No exit portal. Lord Kesh had told the truth about that. But there had to be another way out. There was always another way. He studied the chamber more carefully. Then he saw it. A maintenance shaft in the ceiling, probably used by technicians to service the labyrinth. It was not meant for escape, but it led up toward where the observers would be. Tay started climbing. His arms screamed with pain. His injured shoulder felt like it was on fire. But he did not stop. Hand over hand, he pulled himself up through the shaft. He could hear voices above him now. The court members, talking in confusion about what happened to the drones. He reached the top of the shaft and pushed aside the grate. He climbed out into bright light and fresh air. He was standing on the observation platform, right in front of Emperor Thrain and the assembled court. Everyone froze. Tay stood there, covered in blood and smoke and exhaustion. He swayed on his feet but did not fall. The arena was completely silent. Every alien eye was on him. Tay looked directly at the Emperor. His voice was rough but clear. "You can make us fight. You can make us bleed. But you cannot make us quit. That is what it means to be human." Then his legs finally gave out, and he collapsed. The last thing he saw before darkness took him was Kara's face. Tears running down her cheeks, her expression a mix of relief and rage. He had survived the impossible. He had exposed the corruption. And he had proven once and for all that humanity deserved respect. Everything was about to change. Tay woke up in a medical facility. His body was covered in healing gel that the Crithians used to speed up recovery. Everything hurt, but he was alive. That was more than he had expected when he entered the labyrinth. Kara was sitting in a chair next to his bed. Her eyes were red, like she had been crying. When she saw him wake up, she stood quickly. Tay, thank the stars. You have been unconscious for 2 days. 2 days? Tay tried to sit up and immediately regretted it. Pain shot through his shoulder. Do not move. You are still healing. Kara helped him lie back down. The whole Empire is talking about what you did. The broadcast showed everything. The sabotage. Lord Kesh's hologram. Your escape. You have become famous. Famous is not what I wanted. I just wanted to survive. You did more than survive. You proved that Lord Kesh and the others who think like him are wrong. You showed everyone that humans, and by extension all vassal species, have abilities that should not be dismissed. She paused. Lord Kesh has been arrested, along with 3 others who helped him rig the trial. My father had no choice. The evidence was too clear. Tay nodded slowly. What happens now? Did I pass the trial or not? I did not reach the exit because there was no exit. The court judges argued about that for hours. Finally, my father declared that you passed by exceeding the trial's purpose. The labyrinth was meant to test adaptability and will to survive. You demonstrated both beyond any doubt. Kara smiled a little. You are officially my champion now. Then humanity's tribute will not be tripled? No. In fact, Kara looked toward the door. My father wants to speak with you. He's waiting outside. Are you well enough to see him? Tay's heart started beating faster. Meeting with the Emperor could mean anything. I suppose I have to be. Kara stepped outside and returned with Emperor Thrain. The ruler of the galaxy looked different somehow, less distant. He pulled up a chair and sat down, studying Tay with those silver eyes. You are a problem, the Emperor said finally. I did not mean to be, Your Majesty. I know. That makes it worse. Thrain leaned back. I allowed Lord Kesh to make the trial more dangerous because I wanted to see what you would do when faced with certain death. I wanted to know if you were truly special or just lucky. I also wanted to remind the vassal species that rebellion has consequences. And what did you learn? Tay asked quietly. That I have been emperor for too long. Thrain looked tired. I have ruled for 300 years. In that time, I have focused on maintaining the empire, keeping it stable, preventing conflict. I thought I was being a good ruler. But watching you in that labyrinth, I realized something. The empire is not stable. It is stagnant. There is a difference. He stood up and walked to the window. When I was young, the Crithians were explorers and innovators. We reached for the stars because we wanted to see what was out there. We conquered because we were challenged by worthy opponents and grew stronger from those conflicts. But we have not been truly challenged in 2 centuries. We have forgotten how to grow. You cannot grow if you spend all your energy crushing everyone around you, Tay said carefully. Thrain turned to look at him. You speak boldly for someone in a hospital bed. You asked what I learned in the labyrinth, Your Majesty. I learned that I would rather die standing than live kneeling. If that is too bold, then I am sorry, but I cannot change who I am. The Emperor was quiet for a long moment. Then, surprisingly, he smiled. My daughter saw something in you. I see it now too. He walked back to the bedside. I am going to make you an offer, Tay of Earth. You can refuse if you wish, but I hope you will not. What kind of offer? You have completed the trials. You are Kara's champion. That gives you the right to speak before the Imperial Council on behalf of humanity. I am prepared to reduce Earth's tribute by half as a reward for your service. You and your team can return home as heroes. Your sister will be released from her work contract and given compensation. You will be famous, honored, and comfortable for the rest of your life. Tay waited. But in exchange, you must never speak publicly about Lord Kesh's sabotage. The official story will be that the labyrinth malfunctioned. You must also help U.S. maintains stability in the empire by encouraging vassal species not to take your victory as inspiration for rebellion. You will be a symbol of cooperation, not resistance. Tay felt something cold in his chest. You want me to lie? To tell my people and all the other conquered species to accept their place? I want you to help me prevent a war that would kill billions, Thrain said firmly. If every vassal species rises up at once, inspired by your example, the empire will crush them. We have the power. The death toll would be unimaginable. I am offering you a peaceful path to improvement for your people. By becoming a tool of oppression. By being a bridge between our peoples. Tay looked at Kara. She stood by the door, her face carefully neutral. He could not tell what she was thinking. He turned back to the Emperor. No, Tay said. Thran, single quotes, eyes narrowed. No, Your Majesty. I will not lie about what happened. I will not tell people to accept oppression just because fighting back might be dangerous. Tay struggled to sit up despite the pain. You said you wanted to know if I was special. You wanted to see what makes humans different. This is it. We do not accept injustice just because fighting it is hard. We do not bow just because standing is dangerous. You are refusing my offer? You understand what this means for your people. I understand perfectly. And I am still refusing. Tay took a deep breath. But I have a counteroffer if you will hear it. Emperor Thrain looked surprised. You dare to negotiate with me? Yes, because someone has to. Tay met his eyes. You said the empire is stagnant. You are right. You conquered the galaxy and then stopped growing. But growth does not come from crushing potential. It comes from cultivating it. So here is my offer. Create a program where vassal species can earn partnership status. Partnership? You mean equality? Yes. Set standards. Not just military standards, but contributions to science, culture, infrastructure. Give us goals to work toward. Real goals, not impossible ones. And when a species meets those goals over, say, 10 years, they become partners in the empire instead of subjects. They get representation, fair trade, freedom. Kara's eyes went wide. She opened her mouth to speak, but her father raised a hand to stop her. You are describing a fundamental change to the empire's structure, Thrain said slowly. I am describing how empires grow instead of rot, Tay replied. Earth has history full of empires that fell because they stopped adapting. The ones that survived were the ones that learned to change. You are smart enough to see where this path leads. Either you reform now, while you can control the process, or wait until rebellion forces change on your terms you cannot control. The room was silent. Tay could hear his own heartbeat. He had just told the ruler of the galaxy that his entire system needed to change. People had been executed for less. Emperor Thrain closed his eyes. When he opened them, he looked old. If I do this, the traditional houses will fight me. The military will resist. It could cause civil war among the Crithians themselves. Maybe, Tay said. But maybe some of them are as tired of stagnation as you are. Maybe they are waiting for someone to take the first step. Thrain looked at his daughter. What do you think, Kara? She stepped forward. I think Tay is right, father. I have been saying this for years, but you would not listen. The empire is dying slowly. This is a chance to heal it. It is a tremendous risk. All growth requires risk, Kara said softly. You taught me that when I was a child. Have you forgotten? The emperor was quiet for a very long time. Then he sighed. I have not forgotten. I just became afraid. He looked at Tay. Very well. I cannot accept your full proposal. The Imperial Council would revolt. But I will do this. I will create an experimental program. 5 vassal species, including humanity, will be given the opportunity to earn partnership status over the next 10 years. The standards will be challenging but achievable. If even one species succeeds, we will expand the program.
And if all 5 fail?
Tay asked. Then the program ends, and things return to how they were. But I will make sure the standards are fair. You have my word. It was not everything Tay wanted, but it was a crack in the wall. A chance. Sometimes that was all you needed. I accept your counteroffer, Your Majesty. Thrain nodded. Then it is settled. I will announce the program in 3 days. Your human team will be released with honor, and your people will be one of the 5 chosen species. He stood to leave, then paused. Tay, you asked what I learned from watching you in the labyrinth. I learned that sometimes the greatest wisdom comes from the least expected sources. Thank you for reminding me of that. The Emperor left. As soon as he was gone, Kara rushed to Tay's bedside. You are insane. Do you know that? You just negotiated with the Emperor. You could have been killed, but I was not. Tay smiled. Besides, you are the one who told me I have fire inside me. This is what fire does. Kara laughed, a sound of pure relief and joy. Yes, I suppose it is. 2 weeks later, Tay stood on a landing platform with his team. Day, Wu, Yong, and Hannah were all there, ready to return to Earth. Ships from home had arrived to take them back. News of Tay's victory and the new partnership program had already reached Earth. The streets were filled with celebrations.